The morning the borders vanished, nobody noticed at first. It started with a glitch. Satellites blinked. Digital maps refreshed, showing nothing but green and blue unbroken land. The lines that had divided countries for centuries were just gone. No announcement, no war, no treaty. Ava woke up in what used to be Lisbon and checked her phone for the weather. The app loaded a blank globe. No cities, no time zones, no flags. She laughed, thinking it was a prank. Then she looked out the window. People were just walking across what had been the Spanish border as if the invisible wall had never existed. A family on bicycles pedaled straight from one side to the other. By noon, the news feeds were chaos. Governments issued statements that sounded more like questions. Militaries stood down. There were no lines to defend. Politicians appeared on screens, looking lost, their titles suddenly meaningless. Ava packed a small bagwater, some food, her notebook and started walking north. She had always wanted to see the fjords in Norway. Now, there was nothing stopping her. The first weeks were strange magic. Trains ran without tickets. People just got on. Markets in Marrakesh sold dates to families from Oslo who had walked south for the sun. A group of teenagers from Seoul arrived in Patagonia on foot, laughing at how easy it had been. Language barriers melted with translation earpieces and sheer stubbornness. Strangers shared meals, tents, stories. The world felt bigger and smaller at the same time, but the magic had teeth. Without tax systems, public hospitals closed one by one. Roads cracked without maintenance crews. Power plants kept running on whatever fuel remained, but nobody knew who to pay or how to coordinate refueling. In some places, local groups formed councils. In others, old grudges flared without police to stop them. Ava kept moving, joining a loose caravan heading toward the old Scandinavian forests. They called themselves the Walkers. No leaders, just people who agreed on rules as they went. Share food, no violence. Help anyone who asks. One evening, a man named Elias joined them. He was quiet, carried a battered guitar, and had walked from Cape Town. "I used to be a border guard," he said softly. "Now I'm just Elias." He played songs in languages Ava had never heard. People cried, laughed, and danced under stars that looked the same everywhere. For the first time in her life, Ava felt she belonged to something larger than a passport. Months passed. The world sorted itself unevenly. Some places bloomed into voluntary collectives farms, run by consensus, water shared by need. Other places became fiefdoms, ruled by whoever controlled the last working generator or the deepest well. In the ruins of megacities, barter markets thrived, but so did raids. Ava reached the fjords on a cold spring day. The water was mirror still. She sat on a rock and wrote in her notebook, "There are no borders left, but the lines are still in our heads. We draw them with fear, with hunger, with memory. Without leaders to blame, we have only ourselves to forgive." She met a woman named Lin who had walked from Shanghai. Lin carried seeds in every pocket, rice, beans, herbs. "I plant them wherever I stop," she said. "Some grow, some don't. That's the world now. They traveled together for a while, rebuilding a collapsed bridge and teaching children to read with whatever books they found. One night under the northern lights, Lynn asked, "Do you miss it?" The old world, Ava thought about traffic jams and waiting in lines at embassies. "I miss the safety," she admitted, "but I don't miss the cages." Lynn smiled. "Then we keep walking until the cages are gone from inside us too." Years blurred. Ava grew older. Her hair turned silver. She still walked, though slower. The walkers had become a legend people who never stopped moving, planting seeds, telling stories, reminding everyone that the earth had never really been divided. One winter she stopped in a valley where a community had built houses from salvaged metal and stone. They had no name for their place. They just called it home. A young girl ran up to her. "Are you Ava, the one who walked from the ocean?" Ava nodded, tired but smiling. The girl held out a handful of seeds. "Lynn said to give these to you when you came. She said you would know what to do." Ava took the seeds. They were the same kind Lynn had carried years ago. She planted them the next spring. As the first green shoots appeared, she sat and watched the horizon. No flags, no checkpoints. Just land, sky, and people moving freely beneath them. For the first time since the borders fell, Ava felt something close to peace, not because the world was perfect, because it was finally honest.